Hi everyone, I'm Yami, and I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and I figured today I'd brush my hair, I'd do my makeup, and I'd start recording it so that you guys could know about my transplant story. Enjoy. So, once my PFTs were in the low 30s, my doctor mentioned, like, hey, it's about time we start talking about transplant. It was a very dreaded appointment. Did go better than I thought. My doctor made me feel really comfortable about everything. So I went. I'm in pajamas. So I went, and it wasn't. How can I say this? The clinic itself wasn't very appealing. So right off the bat, I was kind of like, do I have to go to this one? Can I go somewhere else? So I mentioned that to my doctor. She goes, just see how your appointment goes, and we'll take it from there. So my appointment went okay, and then I was like, okay, well, I can see myself getting my transplant here and following up, and everybody's very nice, and everyone seems knowledgeable. So we got some gears turning on that, and I started going to them. And by going to them, I don't mean like regularly. I went to them, I want to say twice. My first appointment, which was like the introduction, and then a follow up. But they had told me that they wouldn't list me unless I reached 100 pounds. And I got to 96. And when I got to 96, that was when I had the second appointment. And they're like, no, you still need 4 more pounds. Which was a total, like, my heart deflated because I worked really hard to get to that 96. Everyone knows how hard it is for me to just gain 1 pound. And I had gained about 6 for this. And just for those 4 pounds, they were like, no, we can't list you until you do. So I left, and I'm busting my hump, and I keep trying to gain weight and trying to gain weight, but it's really, really difficult. And time would pass, and there were no follow-ups, and months started to pass and nothing. And I would ask my doctor, they're like, they should be like, you should have gone a follow-up appointment at this point, and I didn't. So I just waited and waited, and I really shouldn't have waited looking back, but luckily everything went well. So around on December 1st, I went in and I got accessed on my port for 2 to 3 weeks of IVs. At this point, I knew my lungs were so bad that I knew it was going to be 3 weeks. So I was like, well, the 21st. Hopefully by Christmas, I won't have IVs anymore. It was supposed to end on the 21st, but there was no improvement. I was actually feeling worse. I was still getting fevers. So my doctor extended it for another, to the 26th. And on Christmas morning, on the 25th, I couldn't breathe. I woke up and I messaged my mom, and I said, please come here and prepare an albuterol for me because I can't breathe today. And she came in, she prepared it, and I still didn't feel better, so I did another one, and I didn't feel better, and I did another one. And then at this point, she goes to me, do you think we should go to the ER? And I said, I don't want to bother my doctor on Christmas. But my doctor was incredible. I miss her like crazy. We get to the ER. I messaged her, and they put me into ICU. At this point, I have a BiPAP on. They put one when I got there because I just couldn't breathe. I try not to look back on this because it's really hard. And I really thought I was gonna cry doing this video, but surprise. So they put me on BiPAP, and I'm in the ICU, and I was in that hospital for 3 days. But by the second day, something was happening behind the scenes. And on the 28th, my doctor comes into the room, and she starts talking to me. I can't really talk back because I have the BiPAP on, and it's very loud. And for me to muster enough energy for a sound to come out, it was exhausting. I couldn't really talk to her, so I was just listening and nodding. She comes in and she sits on my bed and she holds my hand and she tells me, "Why did you wait so long when you felt like this?" And I told her, I was just waiting to get better. I always figure like, oh, I just gotta get through this and then I'll be fine again, or my baseline fine. So she starts crying, and at this point is when I realize, like, I think I'm dying. And she tells me, "I know that you wanted to go to Gainesville from the beginning, to Shands. I know that you felt pressured to stay here in Miami, but do you think you'd like to get flighted to Shands?" So I look at my mom and I look at her and I ask my mom, like, what do you, like, I kind of just shrugged. I couldn't really talk. I'm like, what do you think? And my mom starts crying too, which is the most heartbreaking thing. And I'm sorry, Mom, I know you're probably crying right now. Not my intention. So she tells me, "Well, you wanted this from the beginning, and this seems like your chance." So I'm like, okay, I thought the same thing too, but you with such a big decision, you want a second opinion, especially your mom's. And I look at my doctor and I go, "What would you do?" And she told me I would go to Shands. And I said, okay, so yeah, flight me. And she tells me, she goes, "Okay, we're trying to figure out your whole insurance thing. I don't think your insurance is going to pay for it. It'll cost about $15,000. And I was like, "Do it. We'll figure everything out afterwards." I think time is crucial now, so. So that day, at this point, everything was kind of a blur. I'm telling you guys what I can remember, and I'm going to tell you guys other people's perspective of the whole situation, because I was in and out of consciousness because my oxygen was so low, so constantly, that I was in and out, and I don't really remember things, even when everyone says that I was awake and my eyes were open and I was responding, but I just don't remember. So that day was a blur. I think it was the next day that they actually came for me, or it was later that night. Either way, I remember my mom packed her bag and everything so that she can go with me, and she and my doctor and my mom were talking like, okay, what if one of us could only go on the plane with you? Who would you want it to be? And I looked at my doctor and I'm like, you, obviously, because you know what's going on. You can advocate for me. It felt like my mom obviously agreed too. She's like, I'd rather have her there because she knows your case, so she can speak for you. And so that was decided. The doctor would go with me after my mom had packed her bag and everything, but whatever. So everyone, all the medics from the flight, they start walking in and they put me on this stretcher, and I'm sitting, still BiPAP and everything. And they say, no one can come. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? They're like, no one else fits. This was on a jet, by the way. This wasn't a helicopter, which is what I expected. I need to get it together. So they put me on the stretcher, and I'm sitting up and not talking. I tell my mom I love her. She told me she's gonna get home, pack a bag, and head to Gainesville. So they wheel me away. And at that moment, like, that's getting out of the room is all I remember from there. I remember being in an ambulance. I don't remember getting in or getting out. I just remember being in the ambulance. And I remember when they carried me on the stretcher into the jet. And my anxiety was through the roof at this point. And just being in enclosed spaces, it was kind of rough. And not knowing what was going to happen was horrible. So before we had left, my mom and my doctor told the medics that I couldn't lay down, because if I lay down, then I can't breathe. And then, there's the risk of I can't breathe. I start choking on the sputum, and I start, I can aggravate it and start coughing up blood. Like, it was this big thing. I can't lay on my back. Okay, no problem. So they're putting me in the plane, and they tell me you have to lay down. And I'm nodding like, I can't. They're like, you have to lay down. You have to lay back, because if not, you won't fit. I'm in no situation to argue with them. I can't breathe. I can't talk. I can't really do anything except what they say. So I cross my fingers and I'm like, okay, well, they're medics. If something were to happen, they know what to do. So I lay back. And it was about an hour or so. This entire hour of flying, I was this close to like an inch or two away from the roof, because I was on my back and I was very close to the roof of the jet. Very claustrophobic. I couldn't even try to sit up. I couldn't move. So this whole time I was trying to take deep, calm breaths, which was impossible because I'm in end-stage lung failure. So once they finally put me in, everything is somewhat calm. I think maybe twice the medics asked me, checked on me, like, are you okay? And all I can do was this, because it's like, yeah, I'm not dead, so that's a good sign. And then when we landed, I don't remember landing. I just remember again being in an ambulance. Just that flash of when they were taking me out, that they closed the door back up. I don't remember being rolled into the hospital. I don't remember being in a room, being taken to a room. All I remember is my last vivid memory that wasn't just a flash. It's two short ones. Is when the head of transplant surgery, the director, came in. I had no idea who this guy was. It was my first time ever in this hospital, anything. It was very strange. I was alone. My mom was still on her way to Miami. My mom hadn't even, not on her way to Miami, on her way to Gainesville. My mom hadn't even left Miami yet. Apparently I texted her saying, I just got here, where are you? She was still there. I don't remember sending this message either. Well, anyways, the director walks in, and he tells me, he kind of stands in front of the bed, and he goes, you're very sick. And I'm with my BiPAP, and I'm like, I know. Help me. And he goes, you're very, very, very sick. And I kind of started crying, and I was like, hoping that my eyes would speak for me, because my lungs weren't letting me. And then he starts asking me questions like what caused this, and why didn't Miami Transplant accept you? It was like, Miami Transplant didn't accept me because of my weight. I was 4 pounds underweight, and they wouldn't accept me. He goes, that's it? And I said, Well, I'd nod, yeah. The way that I was communicating this to him, I was texting and showing it to him because I couldn't speak. He asked me maybe 5 questions. I can't remember them right now, but that was one of them. And at this point, he's asking me a question, and I start answering, and I was so tired I couldn't text him. I couldn't just put the words to show him. So I stopped for a second, and I just looked at him, and I just trying to gasp. He looks at me, he goes, "You're really sick." And I knew that he was trying to tell me I was dying. I knew he was trying to tell me that this was it. I couldn't believe it. Shit, so much for not trying to cry. It just didn't feel like, no, there's no way this is it for me. This was just a tune-up. It was an exacerbation, and it turns out that I got a bug on top of my exacerbation, so it increased it like tenfold and really fast, and that's why everything just went down the drain so quickly. So that's the last. Oh, and then he tells me, he goes, we're gonna put you on a machine called ECMO. He named it like, he described it as a dialysis for the lungs. It'll keep my lungs working while they also rest, so I'm not so anxious. I would be out. And he goes, "Are you understanding what I'm saying?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Are you sure you're understanding me?" Yes, I do remember this part. And then the last... The last thing I remember is the only way that I can breathe. I was leaning forward on a pillow, and I was looking to my side. I was alone in the room. And then I see Eric. For those who don't know, Eric is my best friend. And I did my makeup for nothing. Eric is my best friend, and I hadn't seen him in about 6 years. Not really a fallout or anything, just life kind of took its route, and we kind of parted ways, and he moved up to Gainesville, coincidentally. So after 6 years of not seeing him, not talking to him, nothing, I see him. It's the only face that I recognized when I came up here. And as soon as he came in, I could immediately tell the shock on his face of the condition I was in. And he... Sorry, message. And he tells me, he comes in, and I start trying to explain to him, like, I can't talk with stupid thing on. Not stupid, it was very helpful. And he tells me, he just goes to me, it's okay. And he held my hand. And then he cried with me while I fell asleep. And for those of you who don't know, Eric passed away a few months ago. Recalling this part of the story is really hard. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. So, that was the last clear memory that I have before my transplant. Once I woke up, I recalled a moment that apparently it was when they were getting me ready for ECMO. It was when my mom had already arrived, and she was with me, and I was laying down and kind of looking up, and she was here, and she was crying, and she kept turning around so I wouldn't see her crying, but my mom can't hide when she cries, like me. So she kept telling me, hold on, to turn around, And I kept like trying to grab her, like, it's okay, it's okay. Like, I want you to pay attention. I want you to look at me and be with me at this moment. Um, I was I was trying to tell her it's gonna be okay. Like, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. I was dying and I was telling her I'm gonna be fine. And at that moment, I believed every part of that. I still didn't believe like this was the end for me. Mind you, I wasn't listed. I was just flown there. So everything was a big question mark at this point. Um, that's that's the last memory I have before my transplant. So now what I'm going to tell you is other perspectives of the situation. So I wasn't listed, and I was flown there being told I was going to be listed immediately and then be put on, like, just wait for a call. I don't think they realized how sick I was. Surprise. So, so my whole family drove up to Gainesville from Miami, and they were there for New Year's, and 30th, 31st, they were constantly like, they were all together. They were constantly like saying New Year, new lungs for me. My doctor, well, the new transplant doctor, he ended up walking up to my mom, sitting with her and telling her, your daughter's very sick. My mom said the same thing as me. I'm like, I know. Your daughter's very, very sick. Yes, I know she's sick. That's why she's here. And then he's like, no, your daughter's very sick. She goes, are you telling me my daughter's dying? Yes. Okay, so put her on the list so she won't die, or at least have a chance. And he's like, no, she's too sick to be listed. My mom's like, no, hold on. You're telling me my daughter is dying. The only chance that she has is that you put her on the transplant list, and you're telling me you're not going to do it. He's like, yeah, she's not going to survive it. Like, she's way too sick. My mom goes, no, you don't know her. You don't know her. She's a fighter. She can survive it. You don't know her. And the doctor's like, well, the whole team got together and we decided, like, she's not a good candidate. We can't list her. And my mom goes, I don't care. Get everyone back together and change your minds. You need to list her. This is her chance. You can't take this away from her. So he tells her, he kind of stares at her for a second, and he goes, I'll be right back. So he leaves. About 45 minutes later, he finally shows up, and he tells my mom, okay, we're going to list her. The lobby was full of my family, and apparently everyone started yelling and screaming, and yeah. And then my doctor kept explaining, like, okay, it's still like a very... it's a very small possibility that she'll make it because being on the wait list and you don't really know, and she doesn't seem like she has much time. Nobody was listening to any of this. Everybody was still cheering for the fact that I was going to be listed in the first place. So he leaves because no one's listening to him. And about an hour later, 56 minutes, I believe, or 54, but I want to say 56. I got an unofficial call. I was in a medically induced coma. I don't remember any of this. This is all just by what everyone tells me. He starts walking, the doctor starts walking downstairs around the lobby, and my mom is, they're walking out, and then my mom and I think my brother, they were just standing there, and they see the doctor walking towards the door, but he stops in front of my family, and he goes, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I think we have lungs. My mom is like, what? You just listed her. He goes, yeah, I know. but I think we have lungs. I'm on my way now on the helicopter to go see them. So everyone starts flipping out again. Because I did break a national record. All while asleep. So everyone's super excited. My mom is naturally still very scared because she knows the reality of everything. She knows the chances. She knows. So they confirmed that the lungs are for me. They afterwards, after like my follow-up appointments and stuff, I found out a few interesting things. The doctor told me like you had about 6 hours left, like optimistically, like I was pretty much dead. Another thing that they found out was because one of the doctors up here in Gainesville just decided like, let me take a look at the registry, maybe something comes up, and lo and behold, there were a set of lungs for me. Now they weren't specifically for me, obviously. 3 other hospitals in the area had rights to the lungs, so they had to call each and every hospital and make sure that it was okay that I would take them. All the hospitals agreed, thank goodness. And then the lungs were officially mine. I got my transplant on January 2nd, 2018. So it was definitely quite an interesting way to start the year. By the time I woke up to the sound of my sister, like kind of waking me up, telling me, Mimi, Mimi. It's a term of endearment. Mimi. Mimi, you have lungs. Mimi, you have new lungs. And all I could do was nod. She's like, what? I'm like, she goes, you know? How do you know? Did your doctors tell you? No. Do you remember anything? No. Then how do you know that you have lungs? I couldn't really tell her anything because I was intubated, but I was trying to tell her, like, I knew that wasn't the end for me. I knew that wasn't it. I was trying to say it all along, despite my situation, the circumstance, and just how dark everything was looking at that point. So, I'm not religious by any means, but I do consider myself spiritual, and I do believe in miracles, and I feel like a miracle happened that day, because the record that I broke, it's just unheard of that I get listed and an hour later there's lungs for me when I have about 6 hours left to live. So they send me in for my lungs, and I got them. What a fucking ride. Sorry, Mom. So let me tell you about my recovery. Once I woke up, that they extubated me. There's a video of that. I'm sure some of you have seen it. It was a very hard moment. Like, just physically hard, because you have these lungs in you. And you're so used to your lungs being so full of mucus, and you can't breathe because everything is so tight, and they're so sensitive. I remember, like, just a cough will, like, set off a huge bleeding, which was always terrifying. So they extubate me, and I don't have junk in my lungs, but I still think I do. So I start trying to cough it out. Wasn't really coughing anything. I was just like this blank, empty sound. Like there was nothing. My doctors were like, okay, it's good, you can cough. I don't remember feeling too much pain. They totally took care of that with the meds. I don't think that was a huge issue. At least not as big as I expected. So they they extubate me, and I'm trying to cough and everything. And I'm just, at this point, I couldn't take deep breaths. I felt like I could only fill my lungs 20% to their capacity. I felt like I really wanted to take a big deep breath, like just finally, like I could only do about, but it didn't have any junk in it. So that was more than I can ask for. All of it was more than I can ask for, really. And the doctor was just saying, good, take deep breaths, and everything was going fine. Obviously, in and out because of the drugs. I had a lot of memory issues because of the drugs. Like, I would just forget what I was talking about mid-sentence. I would also confuse, like, days, just because I would nap in between. I would be like, oh no, it's this day. Oh no, it's 2 days ago. I had audio hallucinations. I remember at one point I would hear a Sting song. I was listening like all day, and at one point Eric went to visit me, and I'm like, my God, can they turn off that freaking sound, that song? He's like, what song? I'm like, that Sting song. It's been playing all day. He's like, there's nothing playing. I was like, yeah, there is. Listen, turn off the TV, watch. Yeah, man, there's nothing playing. Like, okay, whatever. And then when I would blink, I would see, like, very quick blinks. It was like a kaleidoscope. Like, just different colors, and then I would open my eyes and it was everything normal, and then I'd blink and it was the same thing, and then, I don't know, it was like a hallucination when you close your eyes. So, all of this is going on in my weird brain. This is obviously all of the meds. I didn't sleep at all the first 5 days. At all. When I came from Miami, they got like a rough draft of my meds, and I forgot to mention Zoloft. Zoloft has been my antidepressant for a while, and I love it. It's fantastic. It makes me happy and not cry, except today. It was also helping me sleep because it helps with anxiety and all that stuff. So, I tell them eventually, because I was getting absolutely no rest 5 days after a major surgery. And they didn't want to put me on it because they told me it can interfere very badly with one of your meds. They didn't go into details. I should have asked a little more questions, but whatever, that's besides the point. But by the 5th day, I told them, I'm like, I need this medication. I need to sleep. This isn't right. And it's not even like I was tired. I had so much energy, but it just did not feel normal. Like, just bananas. So he's like, okay, we're gonna put you back on the meds. We're gonna put you back slowly. So we're gonna start at a low dose again. We're gonna be monitoring you. I don't know exactly what it was that they were looking for, but everything turned out fine. I finally slept after like the 7th day, because it took some time for the medicine to kick in and to finally normalize and become stable. So I finally slept on day 7, I think. 7 freaking days without sleeping. I had started physical therapy right away. I started with a few little walks here and there, and I remember my first walk. It was just like to the end of the hall and back. It was just a few steps, but I wouldn't shut up. And I hadn't been able to talk like that in months because I couldn't breathe. So breathing and talking and walking was just out of the question. And I remember my sister was recording me, and she was like, look at this girl. This is her first time walking. She doesn't shut up, and she just got out of surgery. My oxygen stayed at 99 at this point. It's just a very proud moment. So I'd walk a little more every day and more and more and more. I remember at one point I had to get on the treadmill. And, the treadmill has that little step to get on it. And it's not a very big step, but I was so weak and I was so malnourished at this point. I went I went into transplant at about 86 or 85 pounds. Um, my comfortable baseline is 110. It's at what I am right now. My ultimate goal is 125. But I was at 85, 86 pounds. So I was so weak and I was so frail. And I put my leg on the, and I just had no energy for the other one. My physical therapists helped me up. I did some very slow walking. But it went great. A lot of people get discharged after a transplant after maybe 2 weeks. But at about the 2 week point, I had a huge stomach ache. It's funny now, but it was not funny at all at the moment. I had a huge stomach ache, and it was these horrible pains, and I started crying, and my doctor comes in, and she goes, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I have a really bad stomach ache." She immediately called, like, the Army, the Navy, everybody who was in my room. Literally in a matter of 3 minutes, I had like 10 teams in my room. They were getting cultures. They were rushing to get me to get a CT scan of my abdomen because they were sure that my colon was swelling, which was deadly. So they were preparing an OR. I had just stepped down from ICU, by the way. They were preparing the OR so that once my scan finished, they could see what if they were right, they'd send me straight to surgery. And I was just like, it's just a stomach ache, please. I don't want to do this surgery. The scan was fine. It was literally just a stomach ache. But because of this, they sent me back to ICU, and I was there for about another week. And after that week, then I stepped down again, and I was there for about another week. And from January 2nd that I got my from January 2nd that I got my transplant, I was discharged on January 31st. That was the wildest month of my life. And my mom and I got a place. My family came up while I was still in the hospital to move all my stuff and all my mom's stuff. We moved into a little apartment. It was perfect for us. And I love living there. I miss living there with her. But yeah, I was recovering. I was going back several times a week for labs just to make sure everything was going right, and everything has been. And then I would go for physical therapy for a while. And then once I think it was like the 3-month mark or something, they discharged me from rehab, and then I was able to go to UFIT. I had just my own gym, but I was going to UFIT. And I loved being able to start very slowly walking, and then eventually like jogging on the treadmill, like for a while without getting tired. My legs were weak, like I said, they were fragile and frail. They were exhausted, but my lungs were like, "Come on, legs, let's keep up." And it felt so different, and it felt so satisfying, and it was just such a wholesome feeling. Like I was born to feel like this, not the misery that I was in for all these years. So, whew. So I was going in for all my appointments, and everything has been great. Creeping up on a year and 9 months. And I've lived this year and 9 months like I never thought I would. I met my boyfriend 3 months after, fiance, sorry. After my transplant, I met him in April. And I met him because through online dating. Now, I didn't walk out of transplant ready to date, obviously. But I figured I'm in a new city, I might as well make some friends. And I started on one of these apps that helps you make friends Like, I was able to make friends with girls. And then eventually, people started asking me out to, like, coffee and stuff. And I was like, whatever. Like, friends. I didn't have any mentality of like, actually dating anyone. And then I met him. Instantly clicked. Mostly over music. Then we figured out we had the same humor and everything, and we got together, and very happy. I'm engaged. We're gonna get married next year in August. We bought a house. I got 2 more puppies in addition to Onyx. I have his babies, Lincoln, and I have his other baby, Luna. We went to Colorado. I haven't been able to fly on a plane without like a crap ton of medical equipment and oxygen, which was a nightmare. I went skydiving. I hiked. I think it was about 8 miles in North Carolina. I'm able to swim. I'm able to kayak. I'm able to go rock climbing. I started kickboxing. Eventually hoping to start Muay Thai or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but for now I'm doing kickboxing, bar, and combat fitness, which is like a boot camp style of workout. I'm just able to do all these things. Like, I wake up in the morning early, tired naturally, but I don't need to take a nap. Nonetheless, take 3 naps throughout the day to just survive. I can do groceries by myself. I can bring all the stuff in. I can take care of the dogs. I can maintain the house clean sometimes. I can do the laundry. I could do anything. I feel like nothing stops me. I started my Etsy shop, Happy Yams, which is all apparel and accessories to raise awareness for cystic fibrosis and for organ donation, because I mean, hello, it all literally saved my life. And for those wondering, I am an organ donor. Technically, they can't really procure my organs, but they can get my corneas, my tendons, my skin, all for like burn victims or veterans or blind people, anything along those lines. Anything can be donated. I mean, you lose nothing in just signing the dotted line. You could save a life like mine. And for a situation like mine, when the time was so small, so short, and my chances were so slim, that one person that was a donor saved my life. So don't think like, oh, what are the odds? Like, no, there are odds. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of people on the list, and so many die every day waiting for their organs, and you can be that person to save up to, I think it's 8 people, and you can affect up to 50 lives if you're an organ donor. So please, I hope this story shows you this side of organ donation and transplant, and just how much my life has changed. Yes, I have a chronic illness, but I'm healthy for the first time in years. The last time I went into the hospital, it was about 3 months after my transplant that I went in for sinus surgery. That's it. I haven't gone in for tune-ups. All I do is go in for labs like once a week or once every 2 weeks in the morning, and that's it. My regular appointments every 3 months. So my life has changed drastically. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Well, not enjoyed. I mean, it's not exactly sunshine and rainbows, but it is a happy ending. It's a very happy ending. I love my life. I live it to the max. I thank my donor every day. My donor, by the way, was a middle-aged man. That's all I know about him. I sent out a letter to the family. I haven't gotten a response yet. I hope that I do. But I always had a feeling it was a guy, too. You never know these things. So please, if you can and if you're not, register to be an organ donor. I think it's donatelife.org. That whether you put it on your license or not, it doesn't matter. I would like to have it on my license, but you could just register online. And that's my story.